Hi everyone, I'm Shampa Janardhan, your friendly neighborhood senior instructional designer from Zalando. And yes, the rumors are true. I'm also powered by copious amounts of coffee, and I have a slight addiction to those colorful little plastic bricks. But enough about my hobbies for now. Today, we are diving headfirst into the exciting world of microlearning and how it's not just a trend, but a total game changer for your training and development strategy. So get ready to explore how weaving these learning nuggets into your ecosystem can unlock some seriously awesome results for your organization. Buckle up, it might be fun. All right, so let's get a bit interactive. Imagine you're tasked with the critical mission of teaching a coworker how to use the coffee machine, the office coffee machine. High stakes here. We're talking about a potential of a serious caffeine-related incident. So, which microlearning approach is most likely to save the day and avoid a Monday morning meltdown? Option one, a 45-minute podcast delving into the fascinating history of coffee beans. Option two, a single panicked email that screams, help coffee machine possessed. Option three, short snippets where you talk about filling the water, adding coffee, pressing the brew button, all under 2 minutes. Or option four, a live action role play where you dramatically channel the coffee machine's inner emotional needs. So fire up that chat. Let me see your answers rolling in. And don't worry, there are no wrong answers except maybe four. We'll reveal the highly scientific correct answer in a moment. Option two, three, four, four. Okay, four. Yes, I'd go with option two, but let's go with option three because that's the right answer. Thank you so much for the energy and participation. Moving on, let's talk about the world our learners actually live in, right? So picture this, they're juggling emails, Slack messages, maybe even trying to remember where they parked their car. Sound familiar? So the modern learner, super busy, super distracted, and when they need an answer, they need it now. So think about your own daily info intake, quick Google searches, TikTok dances, I am not judging, snappy news headlines. You know, we are all consuming information in bite-sized chunks. So let's be honest, expecting them to sit through hours of traditional training, it's like trying to fit maybe a square peg in a round hole. So that's precisely why microlearning isn't just a nice to have, it's a must have. It meets learners where they are, providing them the right information at the right time, in the right format, super agile, very accessible, just like their information consumption. Let's move on. So, have you ever felt overwhelmed by a training session? I see the emojis. Like your brain was at full capacity and nothing else was getting in. I think we've all been there. That's cognitive overload. And that's the enemy of effective learning. And microlearning could be our secret tool against it. So by breaking information down into small, manageable chunks, we create space for learners, engage them, retain learning. So it boosts engagement, cutting through the noise, capturing attention, improving retention, and fostering focus, making learning stick. It also offers accessibility and flexibility. So you always find resources on demand. It also ensures, most importantly, reinforcement through spaced repetition. So that mostly solidifies knowledge over a period of time. Let's talk about the most interesting aspect for me, strategy. So we all know microlearning is fantastic. So we know how it zaps engagement, it boosts retention, but here's a little secret, right? It's not meant to be a lone wolf howling in the training wilderness. Let's look at it this way, microlearning is a superpower, but your existing training is the Justice League. We're not here to replace Batman or Wonder Woman, are we? Nope. We are here to make the whole team even more effective. Maybe add a Green Lantern or a cyborg. I'm not sure if cyborg is part of Justice League, but that's for another time to delve. Okay, so let's peek under the hood for your learning, into your learning world. You've got your trusty LMS. Think of microlearning as those quick tutorial videos or skill refreshers that slot in perfectly with your existing courses. So in case you've got a sprawling microlearning a knowledge base, then microlearning can be those bite-sized explainers or quick reference guides that point to exactly where learners need them. So the key takeaway here is integration. So microlearning isn't a silver bullet that magically solves all the training challenges. Its true power lies in its ability to strategically enhance and complement your learning ecosystem, your portfolio, or your landscape. So by thoughtfully weaving it into your LMS or knowledge bases, could be even onboarding, leadership initiatives, you create a more dynamic, more accessible, and impactful learning experiences for everyone. So how can we strategically start incorporating microlearning into our existing landscape and unlock its full potential? I'd say let's hold on to that thought. At the end of this session, we'll come back to this very question and maybe have some time to brainstorm this a bit. So get your thinking caps ready. All right, so microlearning in action. We've talked a bit about theory. Let's see microlearning in action, right? So maybe I talk about change management now. We all know change can be daunting, it's challenging, but imagine a short, punchy module to explain the why behind the change, highlight the key benefits and offer quick tips for adapting. It's almost like a mini pep rally for progress. Let's talk about skill development. Skill development is the heart of growth. So if you need to master a product feature, a software feature, or learn a new sales technique, you need those focused micro tutorials, interactive exercises, and quick simulations to get you through, right? And as you can see, microlearning is very versatile. It can be a powerhouse of plug and play into various topics, into various courses where you can help learners ultimately boost their performance. So we've talked about the why, we've talked about where of microlearning. Now let's get down to the exciting part of what does it actually look like. So first up, we have change mindset, 3 key shifts. So instead of a lengthy workshop on embracing change, imagine 3 impactful modules, maybe a quick video explaining each shift, maybe a relatable scenario, a practical tip. It's about making this heavy, big concept feel more manageable, more actionable, one step at a time. It's almost like a mini, how do I call this, a mini brain upgrade, Next is a CRM basic, a quick tour. So, forget those long hour software demos that leave everyone glazed over. This could be like a series of 2 to 3 minute showcasing core features of CRM, navigating the dashboard, adding a contact, logging on an interaction. So it's almost like a rapid fire guided tour of your essential tools. So no more getting lost in the CRM jungle. And finally, some of the tools that you might use, when introducing a new software or platform, think of quick video demos, interactive click-throughs, even short quizzes, so that they've grasped the basics. And this is about empowering them to hit the ground running, right? So these are just few examples. Of course, I know that the beauty of microlearning is its versatility, and it can be applied to almost any topic. Design. So I'm a designer by heart and by profession. So I will give you not just tips for microlearning, but overall design tips, right? So for microlearning, I believe, you should keep it short and sweet, laser focus on one key thing, create some eye candies, videos, infographics, they act like brain magnets. Ditch the text wall, keep it mobile. You always have to test if it's mobile friendly, because learning on the go is key. Get interactive, maybe add some quizzes and polls. It helps in boosting retention. Objective driven, right? Every bite-sized piece must hit a clear learning target. So design it right, and microlearning becomes super effective tool. And this does not necessarily mean for microlearning. It could be your e-learning, it could be your website, it could be any learning asset that you build. So keep it concise, keep it visual, mobile friendly, make it interactive, always tie it to what people want to learn, and let's design for impact. All right, so measuring. So how do we know if our microlearning is hitting the mark, right? So here are some ways to check. Completion counts, knowledge check, using short quizzes to see if the information is sticking. Are they learning what we intended? Learner voice. I think learner voice is most vital, because you get their feedback, you keep your ears on the ground, you listen in, you have these conversations. And of course, business link. Always connect your learnings to the overarching business goals, show the ROI. So by tracking these metrics, we get a solid proof of microlearning's values and how we could make smarter decisions, more effective decisions, and focus on measuring really what matters. No? All right. So let's now talk about Zalando's microlearning journey and how we went about it, right? So we used 5 key steps. Know your why, that is researching and understanding needs. So first, we were all acting like detectives, talking to leaders, pinpointing some of the gaps that we have. How can we analyze it? How can we define clear objectives? We mapped the mission, planning, and strategy. We decided to learn who this program is for, and what format is it needed. We also planned bite-sized content. We ran it with a small group of people before we launched it fully within the organization. We also, learned from their feedback. Crucially, we also saw whether this is actually improving, what's intended as part of the business goal, right? So it's always important to use this iterative and continuous improvement methodologies, because it's okay to fail, but as long as you learn from the feedback and you're trying to be more iterative and improve your learning designs or the way your landscape is, I think that's the key towards being successful with your learning programs. Your next steps. So what are your next steps? I mean, you could potentially begin by identifying a specific learning need within your organization, where microlearning could potentially make a big difference, right? So I would personally suggest to not overhaul everything at once. Start small, with a pilot project. Most importantly, gather feedback from your learners and use it to iterate and improve your strategy. I think this iterative approach will ensure that there is continuous improvement and maximize the effectiveness of your learning programs, right? So it's always about listening in, keep your ears on the ground, and see what works best, right? And I think with that, we come to the end of the presentation. I hope you're buzzing with ideas.
We couldn't hear you, but this was fantastic. First of all, can we get a round of emojis for our guest speaker here? This was fantastic, Shampa. So thank you so much for sharing about not only just what you're doing with microlearning and all these things. I've got a couple questions since we do have some time. And on top of it, one, slides looked beautiful. And secondly, your timing was magnificent. So you were right on the nose. I didn't even have to come off camera. So one of the questions that came up, I'm really curious your take on this, that someone asked, it got the most upvotes on this, is when it comes to like the integration. I loved how you balance the ecosystem of how to use microlearning instead of, and especially the fact you're not like, hey, just do that for everything, but to think intentionally about it. One of the ones that came up with the most votes is kind of the integration into something bigger. How do you think about that? And what are some of the like what does that look like for you?
I think that's a great question. I would honestly say always, integrate it with, um, it could be like a pre-read or a post-read if you are having a lengthy topic. So it's almost always better to complement it with a bigger topic and also weave it into your ecosystem in such a way that people feel like there has been some kind of a takeaway. They can remember something that sticks by the end of it, and not just a very overwhelming way of learning something, right? We have to make it fun. We have to make it more, enjoyable experience for them, because I think bite-sized information stick, and that's the key to engaging your audience within the organization.
Yeah. Okay. I love that, because I think, again, going into the bigger things, you can try and do too much of one thing. And I think that's the beauty of especially technology that we have now. And I'm a fan of 7 Taps for that reason, where it's like, what is that element of something that we want to carry out? And you brought up change management, which is one area I think a lot of organizations don't lean into it enough for micro learning, where it's like, how do you send that snackable learning along the change curve to help bring people along, rather than just trying to dump it all on them at once? But it's not that you completely eliminate the need for macro type courses. So macro learning, micro learning.